Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Narcissistic, transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks come to grips with their illusions and trauma, overcome them, so they can live aligned, resonant lives and meet their goals right here, right now. And today I want to talk a little bit about the final mile, which is really this final mile of your healing, which is really about the spiritual warfare that happens between the old version of yourself and the new version that's emerging. So this is particularly relevant to anyone who's overcome any kind of trauma. But let's focus on narcissistic abuse specifically. You left a narcissist, you cut off contact, and you did everything you knew you were supposed to do. So why does it still feel like there's this battle within you? Why do you still hear this inner voice that pulls you to past traumas? Why does fear, doubt, and exhaustion make you wonder if you imagine all of this? This is what the final battle feels like. It's the battle between who you used to be, shaped by abuse, and who you truly are, which is the true self that's struggling to be born. So let's talk about this final mile, which is about the war within, you versus you. Not always you versus the narcissist. You've already done that. So you're dealing with this residual effects. So leaving the narcissist is not the end of the war. It's the beginning of the most critical and dangerous phase of your transformation. Because what follows is a profound psychological, biological, and spiritual struggle. One that's often underestimated, which is why a lot of people don't go on a healing journey or start healing and drop off or get discouraged. Because healing is not for the faint of heart. And this is one of the key reasons why. Because many survivors of abuse and trauma may experience crippling self-doubt. Was I too sensitive? May experience the urge to reconnect. Maybe they've changed. Maybe I was too ruthless. Or there's also the temptation to regress. Maybe I can just be nice and keep the peace. Or there might be nostalgia for the illusion of love. I miss the highs. I miss going to concerts with them, or I miss hanging out at family functions and what have you. It's not a failure if you feel these things, if you're struggling with these things. It's all programming. And these programs are a deeply wired neurobiological and spiritual response that can be, yet have to be, must be transcended consciously so you can overcome the old self. So let's go into a little bit of the psychological reasons why this battle happens. And we'll look at this through the lens of cognitive dissonance and trauma imprinting. I'll explain. Cognitive dissonance is a psychological state of tension when two conflicting beliefs exist. And narcissistic abuse survivors, for example, are often trapped between several narratives, but I'll focus on two. One could be, they were abusive, I need to move on, that's it. Or, but I also love them. And sometimes they are lovable, sometimes they were charming. This internal contradiction or state is why many survivors struggle with moving forward. It is a real struggle. And so I'll borrow a framework here just for evidence that there's a cognitive dissonance theory by Festinger, which says when two competing realities clash, the brain tries to reduce the discomfort by rationalizing one over the other. In other words, the brain will try to find the path of least resistance. For example, when you romanticize the abuser, it can lead to thinking, maybe I exaggerated things, which is normal. You feel that. When you feel like denying the abuse, or your mind is trying to deny the abuse, you think they weren't bad all the time. They're not really a narcissist. And then you may also be seeking closure. If I get an apology, I might be free. That's the kind of dissonance that happens. And this is why many survivors of abuse and trauma and repeating cycles or generational curses often feel stuck because the old self is still trying to make sense of the abuser's contradictions. But there's no sense to be found in the narcissist's actions, which is why you must decide to stop seeking logic in what is incredibly illogical. Doesn't make any sense, narcissistic abuse. It's strategic, but why would a person do it? Now let's go into the biological perspective, trauma and nervous system conditioning. So when living under constant manipulation and emotional volatility, the brain adopts and adapts by prioritizing survival over logic. The body learns to stay in high alert, anticipating danger even when there is none. Specifically, the fear center, also known as the amygdala, becomes overactive, scanning for threats. What's going to go wrong? What's going on? Am I safe? Then the part that's responsible for rational thoughts in your brain, the prefrontal cortex, is weakened, therefore reducing its ability to assess safety logically, because you're always in this fear flight mode. And ultimately, the nervous system gets stuck in a fight or flight mode, making relaxation feel unsafe. This is why survivors experience hypervigilance, nightmares, and panic attacks, even months or years after the abuse, because it's vivid and it's imprinted. And I often reference the book The Body Keeps Score by Dr. Van der Kolk. That research proves that trauma isn't just in your memory or what you observe, it's epigenetic, it's in your body as well. It's somatic. It's an experience stored here, all over. This means that even when you logically understand the abuse, your body may still react as if you were in danger. And that's why healing must be both mental and physical, as well as spiritual. Now let's go into more of a spiritual perspective, an esoteric perspective. And we realize that ancient spiritual traditions describe a final test often before true transformation. You know, it's in many ways, it's the lesser guardian of the threshold, to quote Steiner. A manifestation of one's past fears and illusions make an appearance, and the programming also makes a violent appearance that tries to hold you back. And these appearances would appear like doubt, nostalgia, fear, and temptation. It manipulates by making the past seem comforting and the future very uncertain, because you're in the present, which is very unknown, in a good way. And it keeps you, the survivor, or the person trying to get out, the empath trying to get out, mentally shocked even when you're physically free. So every hero's journey has a threshold. It's a point where the old self must be confronted before transformation occurs or can occur. And this is the war between survival and transcendence, between the programmed self and the awakened self. And this war is why many survivors relapse, because they do not realize that the final battle is an internal one. So how do you win this battle? How do you win this final mile? Many folks who go through this believe that the way to heal is to erase the past. But the secret is you cannot kill the old self. You must integrate it. This is a shadow work you must do, because the old self was built to survive abuse. The new self is built to thrive beyond it. And the two must work together to create a whole healed identity, come into yoga, union. And here I would recommend 3 steps, not limited to these, but just for the sake of brevity. The first is radical awareness, how you win this war. When self-doubt arises, such as it wasn't bad, challenge it, call out the lie, question your thoughts, use facts, not feelings, to anchor your reality. Observe your thoughts. Then embodied healing, such as yoga, somatic therapy, breath work, all help to regulate the nervous system. And ultimately, once you activate your purpose, realize that empaths aren't just survivors, but we are transformers. This is when you really kick into a full activation mode, because your healing isn't complete until you use it to uplift others. If this resonates with you, type transform in the comment section. And if you're struggling with this, reach out and we can help you, or reach out to any certified licensed therapist who has the expertise to help you through this. See, the final mile is hard because it's the birth of your true self. You do not win by running from the past, but by transforming it into wisdom. The war ends when you choose to integrate rather than regress. And when you become the alchemist, you're not just a survivor. That's when you win, and that's when you're free. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell, and recognize there's no one like you, really, really. See you soon.